everybody. Welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. Woo, it's your dad. It's Francis and Nate. Nate, how are you doing this morning?
I'm all right. It's afternoon here because time differences exist on planet Earth, but I'm all right. We didn't record last week because I was waylaid with yet another Bronze Age illness that I got from my daughter, but I've managed to escape hand, foot, and mouth disease. I want to put this in advance. Hoof and mouth disease, the bovine animal livestock disease, is a different disease. It's a similar kind in the sense of it being like a viral blister disease, but hand, foot, and mouth is really common. It's like the scourge of daycares and public pools because it's like a spring and summer virus. It's not really serious in the medical sense that like you rarely have to be hospitalized. I mean, unfortunately, some children have died from it before, but that's pretty rare. It's like it just sucks. But we didn't realize that's what my daughter had because there were other things that we thought, okay, maybe some of this is diaper rash, maybe some of this is teething. And then when I got it, I'm like, oh my fucking God, I know exactly what this is, and it sucked.
Have you had it before?
No, and that's
like,
the
how
thing.
Do you know what this is?
Just because of the symptoms and the duration.
Is this another one of the, like, you always have like a lot of like untapped knowledge in the back of your head is like Bronze Age wasting disease, one of those other things. Like I read a book,
I didn't know anything about it actually, because Cynthia said she wasn't sure if that's what it was or not when we first saw what looked like the signs of it when we were changing our daughter's diaper. And because of some of it, we thought like, oh, it's been hot lately. She's a lot more fussy about not wanting her diaper changed at times. So maybe it's just like diaper rash, whatever. But then the other signs, if you put them together, like she did have random blisters on her feet. She was really sensitive with brushing her teeth or anything in her mouth. She didn't want to eat a lot of normal food. And then when I got it, Cynthia managed to avoid it, thank God. When I got it, I realized, oh man, if this is what she was experiencing, this explains why she was so grumpy and fussy and didn't want to eat. Mm-hmm. Because what happened to me was I had a little bit of a sore throat and it just felt like you're getting sick, but then it just stops and you're like, okay, this isn't that bad actually. And then I came home from visiting a friend on a Friday and noticed that, I had some blisters on my feet, but I thought, well, we walked a ton. So maybe it's just, my shoes are broken in, but we walked 10 kilometers around Bern. So maybe it's just that. They didn't seem that severe. They're just kind of like hot spots. And then I started getting blisters on my hands out of nowhere. And I was like, oh shit, this is probably the virus. And then the next day I knew my throat was a little sore. My mouth felt a little sore. And then in the afternoon, it had gotten so much worse so fast that I tried to eat some salted cashews, and it was like eating broken glass. It was so painful. And the best way I could describe it is from about that Saturday until the following Saturday, I couldn't really eat normally because it was incredibly painful to eat, because it's not like, the best way I could describe it is everybody's who's an adult has had a canker sore, what they call mouth ulcer in the UK.
Yeah, you get those you get them in your, I got a bunch when I got back from Afghanistan.
Or if you bite your lip, and you get kind of like a sore from biting your lip, and then it's like sensitive to stuff. Like you don't want to be drinking straight lemon juice if that's your thing when you've got, imagine if 15 to 20 of them showed up all at once in your mouth, everywhere in your mouth, in your throat, around like the insides of your cheeks, around your gum line, on your lips. All that happened all at once. So that was the problem. Like I tried to get some soft foods and I was mostly eating plain yogurt and soup, but it couldn't be too salty because it would hurt. And Cynthia actually got some hummus, which sounded like a great idea until I realized that the hummus had concentrated lemon juice in it. And that was fucking agonizing. And so what I found is that even if your teeth are it really hurts, actually brushing your teeth is good because the toothpaste and stuff typically is going to be less acidic and it helps with the recovery of it. And then doing salt water, not too high a concentration, but saltwater rinses, that helped a lot. And I would sometimes just do them because it felt like if I did a couple of them before I ate, then it was like warming up your mouth or something. I don't know. There was this weird actual homeopathy that works. There's this tea tree oil spray that did seem to numb it for a little while, so that was good. A friend of mine recommended it and said it was typically better than the lidocaine stuff he'd used, and I was like, well, I'll give it a try because this sucks, and it actually worked pretty well. But really, it was just time. They had to heal, and then come end of Saturday into Sunday, it was fine. And now I can have whatever. I had the same hummus that was killing me before is fine now. Salted cashews. It's completely back to normal. The blisters, I can't show you on the webcam because they wouldn't come through, but they've scabbed over really hard. But some of them the bigger ones are still on my hands and stuff, or the skin's peeled off, and they were big. Once the virus started kind of turning and it was less severe, they stopped being huge when they appeared. But some of the ones that appeared, I mean, the best way it looked like, I mean, I used to work in fast food. It was like getting like a really bad, like if you got like a really, really hot grease or splatter burn on your hands, like, cause they were basically big red irritated blisters all over my hands. I was supposed to do some live sound stuff, but the guy I was working with had to cancel just because he had a family emergency. And I was actually kind of relieved because, I mean, it wasn't that I was sick in the sense of like, I couldn't move around or walk or have energy. I didn't have a fever. Like I was fine. I was a little bit tired because I wasn't eating normally, but whatever. But it was that like anything with my hands was painful. And then also the mouth stuff, I couldn't really talk. Like at some point I was basically drooling. If I tried to talk, like it was really uncomfortable. Like it was a week that just really fucking sucked, honestly. And everyone I know who's had hand, foot, and mouth disease as an adult has a pretty similar story. Despite everything you read about it online, they'll be like, oh, well, it's less severe in adults. That was not actually my experience. My daughter, I don't know how bad it was relative to my daughter experience. She did get more blisters than I did, but they were way smaller. But it was the symptoms that seemed to be bothering her were gone within 3 days. Whereas for me, like I basically had this degree of like, I was maxing out the amount of ibuprofen and acetaminophen or paracetamol that you can take in a day, every day for a week. And it was like only barely keeping it under. Like, and that was, 7-8 days of that shit. It was awful. So here's the thing. Cynthia didn't get it. Our childcare she did get it. The woman who watches my daughter. And I think the reason is that my daughter is going through a changing her mind suddenly phase and throwing food, etc. And it seemed like a waste to throw away the bananas that she had like eaten small amounts out of and then just decided she didn't like anymore. Saliva is like the most common vector for spreading it. Now, Cynthia she would just throw them away. But the two of them, me and her nanny, her carer, did eat the seemingly thrown away bananas because she just stopped eating them, didn't want them. She made the gesture like she was going to throw them. So I'm like, sure, here, let me have them. I'll take them. I'll eat them. And so that was enough to get it. And fuck me, you don't want this. So if your kid gets hand, foot, and mouth disease, the thing is that like here in Switzerland, at least, like once they no longer have a fever, because the first day or so that is common, they can go to childcare because like there isn't really that much you can do. It's not that severe, but
it seems like contagious only through like saliva. I mean,
it's very contagious amongst little kids because they're always licking stuff and handing it to each other and swapping spit with each other. But like there are things you can do as an adult to avoid it. Like it's not like a thing that's like so completely airborne that you're going to get it no matter what. I would just say I strongly recommend avoiding it if you can. If you know of anything that might be causing it or someone might be having it, be careful because like I said, it's nothing about it is like, oh, you might have to go to the hospital. I mean, that does happen sometimes, but that's very rare. It's just miserable. And so it kind of fucked me up. Had to delay recording on a Lions episode because we've been doing this thing about these like American white supremacist terrorists in the 80s, and a running bit has been talking like Mickey Mouse to do the like fucked up voice of one of them. I can't. I had to delay a recording because like I can't do Robert Matthews Mickey Mouse voice. I can't sing Doors songs in the voice of Mickey Mouse doing Robert Matthews like we've been doing on the show. It's just too painful.
Yeah, you gotta make sure the talent is there. We can't have Nate not sounding like a fucked up Mickey Mouse to make 80s terrorism jokes. My wife has been, I think she's finally gotten over a really bad sinus infection after we got back from Chicago. Because when you go to a dance competition for Irish dance, you're generally in a ballroom that is packed with other people, and you're around a lot of children. Now, they're not like, it's not daycare children, right? Who are indeed the grossest. Like, my child is almost 10 years old. She knows how to wash her hands. She doesn't do it enough, but nobody does, to be fair. But while we were there, I don't know if my wife picked something up or if it was just an allergy issue, but whatever it was ended up turning into a sinus infection. And it was one of those, like when you get sick and you have that first like couple of days, and when you're like our age and you've been sick a lot, but also you have allergies, it's really hard to say like, okay, is this something that I can do something? Like, what do I do about this? Is this a cold or is this something where I'm just having allergy problems? I'm going to get fucked up by it. Because like a cold will leave in like 2 or 3 days, but a sinus infection sticks around. So she dealt with that for about a week. And then she finally said, I got to go get some antibiotics. She's been on the antibiotics. She's sounding much better now. But every time like a sickness comes in, because last time we had a sickness run through, I got it before I went to Vegas for work. And then it's just stepped this way. I think it went from me to my daughter to my wife. And so anytime a sickness comes in, we're just waiting for what's going to be the progression, because it's never, we're never all sick at the same time.
Yeah.
We never all get coughed on by the same person at the same time and get it. So it's always like, as you said, like, we don't go to daycare, but I sit inside of a box all day. So my immune system is absolute shit, but somehow I managed to avoid it. The barracks crud that we always talk about, like when you have to be crammed into a room with like 12 other people and you're all sleeping on top of each other, somebody's going to get sick because somebody's showing up with like the tail end of a cold somewhere. So you don't end up having to run through it. Same thing happens with Irish dance. Just anytime you're going to be around a bunch of people, there's going to be one person there who probably shouldn't be, but what are you going to do? Stay at home because you got a mild cough? Of course not. You're going to go and spread it among everybody.
Yeah, I mean, people will think, man, you've really been unlucky, but I think this is pretty typical. Like, it's just that in the case of my daughter, because she's not in school or in daycare yet, like it's one of these things where she is still going to like these children's, like the play areas, toy libraries, stuff like that. And she's around other kids, other babies. In a way, it's like it's more of a like whoever's there is there versus like a regular class kind of thing. So I do realize that, like, and also people I know who have older kids here in Geneva have just said that like this year, like lots of stuff's been going around and it's been pretty rough. And so I mean, I think it's pretty typical. It's just that she got RSV, then I got it from her. It wasn't that severe with me, but it lasted a long time. It was like I was operating at diminished capacity for a while, and then it felt like we had just gotten over it, and then she got this, and then I got it, and I don't know. I'd like to be healthy. I haven't really been able to exercise at all, which is killing me. For a while, I wasn't eating that much, but like I just felt weak. So I'm excited to kind of like get myself back together, but it's been a challenge. It's just been a challenge because I think that this is standard for kids her age, and I think that everyone I know who's got kids, like when I tell them about like the level of which I've been sick recently, like that's not a surprise. It's not out of the ordinary at all. I will say though, I was happy that Cynthia managed to avoid it though, because it was just so miserable. I would hate to see her like that, and also like if we both had it at the same time, caring for our daughter would be a nightmare. Like it would be a real challenge. So, but it's good. I mean, my daughter's hurtling towards being 2 years old. She's got lots of big feelings. She loves flopping on the floor dramatically. This morning, I was taking a shower really quick, and I had to close the door in the little laundry room bathroom that has a stand-up shower. And I just said to her, like, "Hey, I'm just gonna disappear for a second. I need to go." And she immediately it was like she was given the stage instruction to crumble to the ground. She just immediately stopped what she was doing and flopped to the ground and started crying. I'm like, "I'm literally right here. I just can't let you get into in the room because you might fall, or you might walk in the shower and get your clothes soaked and stuff. Like, and I can't take a shower without the curtain because then the place gets flooded. So like, come on." So yeah, the big dramatic flop. She did a big dramatic flop last night after the bath because she didn't want to get out. And so she wound up pulling the towel into the bath. And so I had to get another towel. And I wound up taking a picture of her covered with the second towel on top of the bath mat and the wet towel, just sort of like, yep, this is what I've created. This is what I'm doing, whatever I want.
Yeah, we're at a stage where our daughter is going through a growth spurt, and growth spurts are always going to manifest themselves in different ways. Recently, it's been that our child is a bottomless pit. Like usually, it's a little hard to get her to eat, sit down, eat. But in the last like 2 days, she's been eating constantly. And the problem is that sometimes it's like, okay, you get the lot of eating, or you can get a lot of sleep, and you can never get both of them at the same time. So she's been eating a lot, but she was still awake. Like we start recording at 6:00 in the morning for me. I wake up at 5:30. My child has already been up for a half hour reading a book at this point.
Wow.
But she also, like last night, she put herself to bed though. She's like, "Look, I've eaten, I brushed my teeth, I took my medicine, I'm going to read my book." And at like 8:15, we try to be lights out at about between 8:30 and 9. Like 8:15, she's already turning off the lights. She's like, "No, I'm done with this." So it's been nice. She's been going to sleep pretty early, but waking up early. But I don't know. I mean, I'm out here. She's in there reading a book and listening. She loves to listen to ambient music that is like of Nintendo stuff. So like Pokemon soundtrack ambient music, or kind of like lo-fi Nintendo remix stuff. So she kicks that on, or she starts listening to one of her audiobooks. The one that she's got now is Diary of an 8-Bit Warrior, which is a diary that's being kept by a Minecraft villager. I don't know how much Minecraft you know about.
I don't know. I know a little bit, just by exposure, because I had I had a friend who had kids who were into it. But yeah, I don't know that much about it. Similar with Roblox, I've seen a kid playing it when I was babysitting him, but I don't know that much about it.
I try it, like, my daughter asks about Roblox every once in a while. I downloaded it, I started playing around with it, and I was like, I don't want to say that I don't get it, because I understand what's going on. You can, program games, and you can build stuff, and people build games for you to play, and it's all big multiplayer stuff. But, like, she already plays a bunch. Like, she likes to play those little matching games, and she likes to play games where, like, you dress up a doll, and you put different, accoutrements and different colors and things like that. She likes those kinds of things. I don't really know if she's gonna get into the Roblox games, but she has been playing a shitload of Pokemon. We got her Pokemon game, and that has been the thing that she talks endlessly about. It's just, at least this time, I actually know about Pokemon. I don't know if you played it when you were...
No, but I had one of my best friends had two younger brothers, and the youngest would have been about like 9 when we were like in early high school, like 9-10 years old. And so he was absolutely the age of like world centered on Pokemon. So I did see him. Maybe this is like the Game Boy Advance era. I remember seeing him playing it and stuff, and he had the cards. I know a little bit about it because of that, but just to be honest with you, not really that much. I mean, I remember Pokemon Go being a thing, and I probably played it twice, and I was like, okay, cool, it's an AR game, sweet, all right, and then just ignored it forever. What can I say? When I babysat our friend's kid in the UK, he was playing Roblox. I was like, he could read. Obviously, he was 7, but like he wasn't a super great reader because he's just a 7-year-old who can read like the way you'd expect a kid that age. And some of the comments that I saw popping up on the Roblox chat, I was like, yeah, that's not good. That's it's not like creep shit like adults being creeps, but it's just more like bullying, a lot of bullying. So in multiple languages, saw some French language bullying, saw some Spanish language bullying, saw a lot of English bullying, I saw some stuff in Arabic. I couldn't read it, but I'm sure it was bullying. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was. I don't
know what you're saying, but I know what ja means.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't appreciate
like
it.
that. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Like my daughter's not really we don't really do screen stuff with her. We don't have a TV. I want to get one, but not really the same way. Like what I want is to get like a big monitor that we can use for homework once I have like a home office, once I have my own space, and then something that's simple enough that I can just disconnect it and move it into the living room when she's asleep if we want to watch a movie together. But like we haven't really. I mean, I had a TV in the UK. We had a TV in New York. I don't really feel a sort of like acute sense of I wish I had a TV right now. I mean, it would be nice to watch movies on, I suppose, but like I don't know, man. I've been reading more. There's always stuff to do around the house. You don't have time. Like my wife and I have gone to a couple of movies. Like we'll drop her off with her grandparents, and maybe we'll go to a movie. And she and I both really wanted to see Sinners, the Michael B. Jordan movie. But yeah, like it's a 2.5 hour long movie, and like yeah, the kid goes to bed at 8 o'clock or 8:30, but I'm not staying up until 11 watching a movie. Yeah, I mean, I try to get up at 7. Sometimes I wake up before my alarm, especially now with the the days being super long. So if I stay up past 11, I'm going to be tired. And my daughter goes to bed late. I mean, like this is just a thing that we've discovered. I mean, every kid is different, and I hear stuff from parents in the US where it seems like it's sort of they put their kids to bed at like 7 and expect them to wake up at like 7. Like I have never gotten my daughter to sleep for 12 hours. It doesn't happen. And I'm not trying to
we had a glorious like 6 months like that.
I'm not trying to cast aspersions on the sort of ideas. It's just I can tell you from my kid, if I got her to go to bed before 8, for example, she would wake up at 5 a.m. Now going to bed about 8:30, 9ish or so, she sleeps through the night and she typically wakes up. Sometimes it'll always be after 6 unless something is wrong. Most time it's after 7. But like 5 minutes past 7. Sometimes when she's really tired, she might sleep past 8, but she doesn't. Basically what we figured out is when we give her a bath, on days we give her a bath, we do it, try to get her in the bath by 8 and start doing winding down bedtime stuff and brushing her teeth. And between 8:30 and 9, she goes to bed, and she typically sleeps, until about 7 the next day. So great. But like, by the time all that's done and everything, then everything's put away in the house and, stuff is cleaned up and everything's sorted. Then like, do you really want to then sit down and watch a 2-hour movie? It's like, no.
Right.
I mean, I try to read and I struggle because I just don't have, like I've been reading more recently than I've read in a while. Like it has been a nice change, but it's hard to make yourself do anything that's not just like, I just like fucking look at Blue Sky or try to read Wikipedia or whatever. But like, I don't really have the energy to like undertake a new thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Once I'm climbing into bed, especially like this last week, I've been really busy at my regular job, and I've been doing a lot for the shop and the podcast and things, just trying to just very busy. So like every day I'm out in my office at least by 7 in the morning for work, and then working late into the evening and everything. And yeah, like you said, like if I have 2.5 hours free, like I'm not gonna sit down necessarily, because 2.5 hours free in a block of time just doesn't exist anymore unless like we're pre-planning it. So, and by the end of the day, okay, she goes to bed, then we take our showers, and it's 9 o'clock. I wake up at 6 a.m. at like I woke up at 5:30 today. My alarm woke me up, but I was already awake. Like I just wake up early. 5:30 to 6 a.m. I wake up.
For me, it has been too with a lot of things, with kind of like catching up on stuff I've missed, because it feels like I'm constantly trying to catch up on stuff that I fell behind on. I had to finally go through and reconcile all these transactions in the business account because I changed accountants and there's just a new system and it works better, but like I had to do a lot of catch up and stuff. And so there's just been a lot of sort of admin things, and it's been a little easier, but still like I don't have a workspace. So, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get one until my business here has been open for at least a year, and I've gotten, certified accounts for a year and tax stuff and to show my earnings, because they don't believe me. It doesn't matter. I can show bank shit. They don't believe me. I'm a foreigner who just opened a business. And so it's like, so on one hand, I have practically no overhead, which is nice, but like, I would like to have a workspace. I do not want to go to another co-working space because they're just all really annoying. What I need is an office, but preferably an office that's big enough that I can have some kind of a soundproof thing either built or buy one of the like assemble on site sort of modular ones, just so I have a actual soundproof space for two reasons. One, for recording whatever I'm doing, whether it's podcast or music, and for another, for mixing, because I would really like to not have to fucking wear headphones. Like mixing in a treated room with actual studio monitors is so much easier, so much more comfortable, and you can hear so much better. It just makes the job easier. But unfortunately, like I'm certainly not going to treat this room. I don't have. We're still working on clearing the stuff we don't need out, and the studio monitors, like real monitors, even if you get smaller ones, like they tend to be pretty pricey, and like it's annoying. Like, it would be annoying for anyone in the house, even if this room was treated, because there's no way I could actually soundproof it for real. I'm not going to build like a secret internal room that's closed off, plus it would get hotter than hell. You would hear it. And imagine, like, here's the thing with editing, like especially with mixing, you're just, a lot of times you're going back and listening to stuff over and over again to like make sure it sounds correct. And it's like, little bits here. Did this thing work? Did this change work? Is this loud enough? Is this quiet enough? Etc. Like, it would be insanely annoying to listen back and hear this, like if you were anywhere. And like soundproofing and barriers and stuff between units in this building and between like buildings, like the firewall separated, like it's pretty good here. Don't get me wrong, it's way better than England, but it's summer and everyone's got their windows open. Like us doing these episodes about the Order, I can only imagine my neighbors probably hear me going like, "Oh, we're gonna take the flight to the electronic Jew," and like wonder, is my neighbor on fucking drugs, or is he just average American? You know what I mean? Like, so that kind of thing is it's difficult. I would prefer to have it, but for the time being, like I don't have a ton of time. I'm not really good at being efficient right now, because when you've dealt with this, but working from home in my spare room, like if there's anything that needs to get done with shopping around the house, with my kid, with childcare, etc., especially if it involves having to speak French, like I have to be the one to do it. And I'm not saying that like I resent it, but it just means that you're okay.
There's more calls for your time.
Pulling out a reference here. Do you remember this commercial? They showed it in theaters a lot. I think it was for American Express. Wes Anderson had directed this. I think it was an Amex commercial. And it's like he's walking and kind of like talking to the camera, and like people are coming up to him and be like, "Can you pick this prop? Which prop gun do you want? Which costume do you want? What about this? Hey, can you this? We need the money for this." And it's just like this constant stream of just like everywhere he goes, it's like it's filmed like one long take, and everything is just him getting fucking hit up with just stupid questions like, "Hey, can you solve this? Can you make a decision?" I didn't realize this until later. It's an homage to the Francois Truffaut movie Day for Night, which is a great movie. I strongly recommend it. But in that movie, the director is just, that's his life. It's just fucking problems and people just coming up to him and just like, "Hey, this, hey, that. Hey, these 2 crew members are fucking. Hey, these 3 crew members are in a polycule. Hey, the famous actress who's trying to do a comeback can't remember her lines. Hey, the sound doesn't work. The cat won't follow the fucking cues to drink from the milk. Like, they crash the car. The starlet is like having a nervous breakdown and doesn't want to fly to France for the movie." Like, it's just nonstop that. To me, I made the joke once that Day for Night is kind of similar to being an army officer in that regard. But my current life, and when you think about like the spectrum, the variety of like what the task involves, like it's podcast merch, or it's like a postal thing, or it's a customs charge, or it's accounting shit, it's finding copies of invoices, it's personnel things, resolving conflicts with scheduling, resolving issues with people working together, planning, reading stuff, researching shit. Oh no, my daughter threw yogurt all over the floor. You have to go clean it. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, she fell and she bumped herself because she was doing a big dramatic flop and hasn't realized that floors are hard. And so like, I have to get an ice pack, you know, all these things. It's just that. And that's just life. I mean, there's nothing, I'm not like, oh, woe is me. It's just, but you can understand that it doesn't really lend itself to this kind of like deep focused, long stretches of concentration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to give you shit about the pod check, but I mean, assuming you have air conditioning, fucking a pod check was better than what I got at the moment, man. I gotta be real with you.
Yeah. Look, everybody wishes they could have a goon cave like I do. A place.
Francis,
a place
goon
for,
cave implies that you jack off in it. And that's the primary role, is to jack off. So just in case you're...
It's not the primary role, but like, you know...
Crying out loud.
You know what I always thought would be a great podcast booth is the audio booths that they used to stick you in for the Army when they were doing the hearing tests. Like, it's just like a phone, like a slightly bigger phone booth that you can sit down. But those things were great. Like, you couldn't hear anything inside of them. And they seem to be well ventilated.
That kind of thing does exist for sure. I mean, like, there's lots of... Most of the time they're sold as like private call booths for companies. Those ones that they have in the Army would obviously be ones that are rated like for, because there's all sorts of like ISO standards for this stuff. Ones that are rated for audiology, that they would have to be very, very isolated, which would be great, but I'm sure they're insanely expensive.
I'm sure, look, you know enough about audio that I'm sure that with some plywood and some 2x4s and we get a fan in there, we can get a ventilation fan. I feel like we could make a booth pretty, like, I don't think we can make an ISO standard booth, but I think we can make a Jackass podcast booth out of it.
Well, no, I mean, at the end of the day, Francis, like the thing about it is that all you would basically be doing is interior divider walls. You would basically just need to build, like, the way that this is done professionally is when they treat a room at the end of the day is I can't remember the name off the top of my head because I haven't been researching it in a while, but you effectively build false walls, like plasterboard walls, you know, and you have to, the standard is basically against whatever the actual exterior wall is, or the main wall of the room, you would put like an isolation, like a row of, it's kind of like struts, like almost like not rebar, but almost like corrugated strut material. It's basically like in stripping to then attach the plasterboards to, but create the separation where there's going to be the surface that can vibrate is reduced. And then you typically, depending on how hardcore you want to go with it, you put in insulation, put acoustic insulation in, like fiberglass roll, etc., in the hollow wall. Sometimes you actually, if you want to go really crazy, like the really, really rated ones, you actually have to have an air gap, like a space in between another series of that. Same for the floor. You isolate it off the floor the same way. But like even just basic isolated, like building a hollow wall, building a room within the space, and then insulating it, sealing it, plastering, etc., and then having doors, and if you're using windows that are actually rated for acoustics, that will solve it. Won't I mean, no matter what, you can't get rid of everything unless you're literally like building a white room, and that's going to be insanely expensive and complicated. But what you want is something that if you are in there and you close the door, someone can play a drum kit and you can hear the drums being played from the outside, but it's very quiet. You know what I mean? It sounds like you're wearing earplugs. If you can do that, because drums are loud as shit, if you can do that, then anything else you're going to do in there is fine. The point is you just don't want it to be, because with the noise, it's the vibration. And so like if it's vibrating, then it's going to be audible throughout everywhere. But also, ventilation can be a problem because ventilation requires air gap. It requires air ducts. It requires something to let air in, let air out. Even silent fans still make some noise. For sensitive recording stuff, it can be, it will pick this up. There's ways to create basically like a series of baffles, what they call a noise trap, which lets air out, but like it's almost like a sound, like I think they call it a sound maze. It's basically like layer upon layer of stuff where like the air kind of has to travel out that way, and everything is serpentining through is like foam and insulation. So it just, what it does is it helps with I mean, it won't get rid of all of it, but like if you want to get rid of all of it, then you build a room and you seal it up in a fucking sous vide and then you die inside. You know what I mean? Like you have to have air. So it's just a matter of how hardcore you want to go. And like similarly, like acoustic doors will be rated, like you can get like the really big ones that can reduce it massively, but those are going to be insanely heavy and they're going to cost thousands of dollars often. In this country, they're going to cost thousands of francs, and they're so heavy they have to be installed by multiple people. They have to be installed professionally. You know what I mean? Like, whereas if you just know what you're doing, building your basic setup for a room inside a room, as long as you do what I said with the acoustic insulation and like there's not big open air gaps, like the door is actually framed up and it's sealed and you there's things you can do with it, that kind of thing. It'll reduce it a lot. That's all you really need. You just need an enclosed room. So yeah, it's doable. I don't want to do it myself.
It sounds
though.
like you already know, though. You already know everything you need to do. Just get a hammer and screw. Like, because I mean, look, I understand, wanting to get this, full on professional sound and everything, but I don't know how you record for your other episodes. But I mean, if it's in a room like this, you might as well just kind of knock something together and hang some carpet tile on the inside.
No, what? Here's the thing. What I want is I want to get one of these things because you can buy them. There's a bunch of vendors that sell them in Europe. A lot. There's like 2 or 3 in Spain and Portugal, and they basically send them to you palletized and they're assembled on site. And the reason I want to get something like that is that I don't want to spend the money to build something that's a semi-permanent installation in a rental space that I don't know if it's going to work if I have to move. And building a thing like that, building it so that it can also be disassemblable makes it way more complicated. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would rather, I mean, like they're not cheap, but they're not insanely expensive, relatively speaking. I mean, like getting in the United Kingdom, getting a full soundproof room installed is going to cost you 30, 40, 50,000. Well, now probably more, but like in the 30 to 50,000 pound range, depending like if it's the size I'm thinking of. Whereas you could probably spend about 15, 20,000 euros to get a similar site, way bigger than what I need. I'm not spending that much money, but what I'm saying is way bigger than like enough to fit like a full like live room for like music recording for like, you could fit a whole band of people in there. If you wanted that, you could get it for like 15,000 euros. I don't need anything that anywhere near that big, but what I'm saying is the reason I want to get it is because a couple of reasons. This is dad logic in action here.
Sure, go for it.
Number one, I don't have the fucking time to be trying to build basically like a frame house inside my office by myself during the workday when I have stuff to get done. Like I just don't have the time. You got
a helper. I'm sure little kid can swing get her like the little wooden hammer, get her a little big screwdriver.
She loves her little toolkit that's got like like wooden tools and stuff like
a little squeaky hammer when you hit it on something.
Well, that's point number one is I don't have time to do it. Point number two, like the amount of time you have to kind of trial and error is going to waste a lot of time that I just don't want to waste. And doing it on your own is going to be hard too. Like you would need help for some of this and I don't have it. 3, the fact that it would be disassemblable and reassemblable is a thing that like, I mean, it's not easy to transport, but it's mobile. It is transportable. So I don't assume that whatever space I get is going to be the last space I ever in for a workspace. I can move it, have it moved, etc. I didn't wind up getting this one rental I put in for, and actually I'm kind of glad because they didn't have an elevator, and like that would have been annoying. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to do that at some point. But right now, really, it's also just like it's not even the editing tasks; it's just the admin stuff. It's being able to go to a space and be like, I am in my workspace. This is where I work at. I'm not like everyone must be in the office. The social aspect of the office annoys the fuck out of me, and it's actually like kind of like I think it makes work harder because like I'm not an antisocial person, but I'm very distractible for social reasons, and then I don't get work done. So what I like is having what I want is even literally the word when I do real estate searches here is like a workshop, what they call atelier in French, because that's kind of what I need it for. And so I am hoping I have so much that I have to get done now that I don't even have time, and applying for stuff here, you have to put a whole dossier together. It's just so much work. I'm just ignoring it for now. And then at a certain point, what I really need to do is get a storage unit and move all my stuff from the Trash Future studio down here, because if I get it in before the end of August, then it'll be less than a year since I moved and I don't have to pay any importation tax on it. And it's not worth a ton, but it's worth enough that would be annoying.
Let me ask you, Do you think that you could record in a storage area? Like you can't live in them, but do you think you could get a storage area and like throw some carpets on the walls to deaden the sound and everything?
No.
I just imagine you're going to have a lot less foot traffic and nobody's going to bother you. Just like I need to go into my space and like and yell like Mickey Mouse for 90 minutes and freak everybody else in the storage area.
No, I don't think so, because they'll have overhead lights, but it's not going to have power plugs, and it's certainly not going to have internet. It's not going to have internet, and it's not going to have good enough signal. No, and they wouldn't in this country, especially. No, they're not going to because they're not going to let you close the door on yourself and be there over extended periods. It's not like this is not how it works.
I mean, they tell you can't live in them, but like, look, I'm going to be in here for an hour and a half rearranging my things in here.
I think you have to realize too that it's not like, because in the U.S., like in Alaska, I had a storage unit, and it was like you entered in like a security gate, and then you drove around, and there were like it was basically like a army camp of garages, and you just opened up your garage and you had stuff. Right here, the ones I've looked at, it's like a secured access building. It's all on the inside, and you basically have your spot in like a hallway, but like you're in a secure facility. Like you can't. It wouldn't be. They do offer garages in this building that we live in, and so I have thought of asking because it would add on to our rent but like I don't think I could set up a workshop in there. I could probably at least store some of my equipment in there, but to be honest with you, we have basement storage. I just need to get a thing to have everything there, and then once I do finally get an office, I'll move it all there and have my recording studio and soldering station to rig up microphone cables and, you know, unbalanced audio cables and fix fucking broken things and stuff. And I really, really want to do this, but like I have so finite resources in terms of my time. That's the biggest one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
time always becomes the one that you don't have. And eventually they become a little bit more independent, but still, like, you want to spend time with your kids. So
and I mean, like, my daughter's going to be starting daycare. Like, we got a spot for the state subsidized daycare, and it's 5 days a week full time. So I don't know how long she can be there in the day, but like, I know that the hours listed on the thing. I'm pretty sure we can bring her in no later than 8. I think before 8, and I think last pickup is 7 p.m.
Ooh,
we wouldn't be, I don't think we'd be keeping her that late, but I mean, it's nice though, because like,
yeah, it's nice to have the option.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, it's Tuesday. We're going to leave you there for an extra hour and spend some time with my wife, you know,
or I can do work,
do anything,
cook dinner without worrying about you wanting. I mean, this is one of her things that I love her to death. So please don't take this like I'm angry, but she loves sneaking around the kitchen when I'm cooking. She's not tall enough to touch the stove. She's not tall enough to pull stuff off the counters unless it's right on the edge, but she is tall enough to come up to the controls for the cooktop and twist the dials, and suddenly I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is it spoiling? It's not supposed to. And it's just like a little baby hopping, the little toddler fucking doing her little, like, I'm pretending, I'm trying to pretend that I'm not feeling guilty for the thing you've obviously caught me doing. Little stutter step that she does when she's caught, and it's just like, I see you had some fun turning dials, and now this thing that was supposed to be simmering is boiling over. Yes. What else? She loves, I mean, she does this thing when she's mad, she'll just throw the food and like she'll just make eye contact with you and just throw it at you or throw it down. It's just like, why? I know that it's a normal developmental step, but man, like, it's funny, it's great comic timing, but it's just, she has this absolute deadpan fuck you face when she throws it. It's just like, why?
Children are little chaos demons up until about like 4 or 5. Brother. I mean, I'm not going to say that they stop being chaos demons, but they at least like get to a point where you can reason with them and you can be like, can you stop throwing that? And then the child can think about it and then not stop throwing it, but at least you're starting to get somewhere with them. But yeah, this is the age of you know, they understand you. She understands her name. She understands when she does something wrong, but you know, you're not exactly having a conversation.
She doesn't really respond to her name yet, but I think she's kind of catching on. She definitely responds to her name if I say it in French pronunciation versus in English. She understands both languages for sure. Hilariously, if it's just me and her, she'll respond to me in either language. Because I mean, like, but when it's her and her mom and me, I have to speak French because she's decided you're the French speaking parent, mom is the English speaking parent. I don't mind. I mean, it's good practice, but I'm sure I sound goofy because like I'm not a native speaker. It's useful for me to not like get so rusty that then like come Monday morning or whatever when I'm talking to people, I sound like a moron. But like, it is very funny how she like will just completely pretend she doesn't understand if I say it in English and then I say it in French and she immediately and I'm like, but I know you know what it is in English because your mom says it to you and you do the exact thing. Like you do exactly what she's asking. So yeah,
it doesn't count if French dad asks in English.
Although it's funny too because she is actually for a while she was only saying stuff back in French, but she's been saying stuff in English. Last night I was helping Cynthia because now she's at the age where with diaper changes, if it's a messy diaper, she is like, you have to do something to occupy her or she'll try to jam her hands and stuff. And so I'll come and if Cynthia's changing her, then I'll be like, hey, we're reading a book or we're doing something, or I'm literally just holding your hands so you don't stick them in gross shit. And she booped to my nose and said, your nose in English. And I was like, oh, wow, you've never said stuff like that to me in English before. You definitely know words for like she'll touch. It's not correct French because she's baby talk, but like what she's tried to say is like c'est quoi ça, like what's that, and then she'll say et ça, and that, and she'll touch different parts. So it's like I always do both languages. Like she'll touch my ears and I'll say les oreilles, the ears, you know, les joues, the cheeks, les lèvres, the lips, la bouche, the mouth. I'll say both. And she'll normally say it, if she says it back to me, she says it in French, but she's been saying more stuff in English too. And she says maman for mom, but sometimes she'll just say mom or mama in like English pronunciation too. So she's definitely going to be bilingual, which is awesome because I am in a sense, but I'm not natively.
Yeah, but this will keep you strong on it. Like you'll have somebody at home to speak French to. So that should help keep the language strong for you.
Also, like, I live in a French-speaking country, and I'm fucking always speaking it all day long, but mostly,
but,
except for when I'm podcasting. I haven't French podcasted yet because that would be a bit ridiculous.
That would be interesting. We got to find you a French person to podcast.
Et c'était un Suédois, était italien. What if a Swedish guy was Italian?
Can you do it in a Mickey Mouse voice?
Oh, les gars, qu'est-ce que vous pensez si un Suédois était italien?
That's right, bitches. We're back.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, Tom gave me the script of the Robert Matthews speech I had to read yesterday. He was talking about how they have to confront mass media because the satellite dishes are popping up across America and the electronic Jew is invading your homes. And I was just like, I told him, I'm really glad you gave it to me a couple hours in advance and I could read it, because if that line had surprised me in the read through, I would have lost it laughing in broken character. And that's the thing. Mickey Mouse, white supremacist voice, is not supposed to laugh at his own jokes. So it's just, I don't even know where the Mickey Mouse comes from. It's more from like the South Park, where Mickey Mouse is like this like timeless demon who, haunts the globe.
Yeah, capitalist demon who, yeah. But this is just, the people who listen to both shows will know this, but what it effectively turned into was hearing about how much of a dweeb Robert Matthews was as a kid, and he was an adult convert to Mormonism, and he was going to like John Birch Society meetings when he was like 11, 12, 13, and his parents were just like, this is so annoying. Yeah, literally the worst child ever to exist.
And making the joke about like all the fucked up things happening in America in the 60s, and like it would have been much better if he had like gone to Woodstock or gotten into the Doors versus this. And this led to things about the Doors, and he only listens to like he doesn't want to listen to race mixing music. He just listens to real American music like the Doors. And then by the end of the first episode, me, Joe, and Tom were doing Doors songs in Mickey Mouse voice. Yeah. And it's just like, how to explain what I do for?
I don't. This is why I have a regular job. Like big part. I mean, obviously I money, but like it's very easy when I meet people and they say, "What do you do?" And I say, "I work in IT for a tax company." It's a nice boring job that I can have that I can vet somebody and be like, all right. Also, sometimes I'm on a podcast where we talk about the electronic Jew in Mickey Mouse voice.
Well, I mean, yeah, that makes it sound a lot worse. But I mean, no, it's just, obviously we're saying this from a perspective of derision. Like these guys are psychos. Like we absolutely hate them. We afford them no respect. But it's more that for me, like I just tell people I'm a digital media producer, and I produce podcasts, audiobooks, training videos. Those are all things I've done. Music. I do music live sound. I do music recording, like production composition. These are all things I've literally done like 4 jobs. So that normally people are curious, and it's not really. I don't have to get really in the weeds of like, we have a running bit on the show about the idea that early 20th century Chinese warlord who had a traveling harem also had at least one twink, even though he was straight, just in case his fortune teller told him he had to hook up with a guy. He was already prepared. Like,
see, I love lines led by donkeys, and I always want to tell people about it. My mother-in-law loves history, and she's always complaining about the history podcasts that she listens to sometimes have a lot of inaccuracies in it. And I said, well, I have a friend who does a really good, very base podcast, who is not an insane right winger, but doesn't talk politics. And then I'll listen to the latest episode, and there'll be like a 5-minute segment on like painting walls with cum, so that it becomes like fire retardant. And I'm like, I don't know if I can send this to my 70+ year old mother-in-law.
I mean, here's the thing: is like there's lots of really good podcasts out there for history that are interesting, that are professional, that aren't like clickbaity or like true crime. They do actually have some grounding in what you might call sort of peer-reviewed approach to history, even if they're more entertainment than education. In our case, like what we are doing is that, but we also, it's the personalities of the three of us. It's us reacting. It's us, and kind of like taking it in whichever direction. And like the current configuration of it lends itself to a lot of like deep lore chaos, and it's fun. And here's the thing: it's not going to be for everyone. I get that, and it's not going to be. There's a huge disconnect between the actual series, like the episodes about the series about genocide, for example, versus the ones that are a little more lighthearted or maybe just sort of like an event not known explicitly as like a colossal human tragedy, but just like as some sort of military fuck up, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. Those lend themselves to being funny, and we have a particular brand of humor, and it's like, yeah, that's who we are. It's not for everyone, and that's not saying it in an elitist way. I turn stuff off the minute I find it annoying, and quite frankly, that's a bit hypocritical given how much what I do as a person is be annoying professionally. I know that, but I think people there's so much dumb bullshit you should do in your life. It's like, if it's a thing you enjoy, like you should just enjoy it. Like, it's not the stupid let people enjoy things, let people not enjoy things. It's just more like stuff might just not be for you because it's just not what you're interested in, and like that's not a moral judgment. There's a lot of weird toxic fan culture shit about this. Is like you can like something or not like something, and like it doesn't make you good or bad. Like it's entertainment at the end of the day is just so much of it is what you're choosing to dedicate your time and energy towards. And if you enjoy it, as long as it's not like fucked up and exploitative or like, you know, like
don't be weird about it. Don't be weird. Like I'm a big fan of Rick and Morty. Like I love Dan Harmon. Dan Harmon did Community, one of my favorite TV shows. He does Rick and Morty, one of my other favorite TV shows. There's a lot of Rick and Morty fans out there who are incredibly embarrassing.
You know what's so funny about it is I remember a friend of mine who was an American guy living in Korea who stayed up on Reddit shit and stayed up on like American pop culture. He'd lived there for like 10 years. He told us about Rick and Morty, and we watched it at his place like when the first season had come out, and I was like, this is so funny, this is really well done, this is like very much like funny on its own merits, but then if you actually have read science fiction and fantasy, like you'll get a lot of the references, like sort of allusions here. I even remember friends of mine, like a guy I knew who literally was like a classics professor, was like, the show Rick and Morty is just like really good. Like if you've read Ursula Le Guin, you've read Robert Heinlein, you've read Philip K. Dick, like you're gonna get so much out of it. But the fans really, they made it
be a bit much.
They made it so that associating with it, like expressing fandom, lumped you in with this incredibly annoying type of dude, because most of them were dudes, almost all of them.
There are too many news stories, I think. That's what happened. The Szechuan sauce news stories, and people started being weird about it.
Fucking that. And it's like, but the thing is that I don't know. I remember watching the second season and being like, this isn't as good as the first one. Maybe they've lost steam. I don't know. I also just like stopped watching TV. But that first season, like I was really impressed by how many good, and also just like the directions they took it in. The thing where they had to finally return to the dimension that was the one they belonged in, and by doing so they had to go to a dimension where they were going to die. And so it does the thing where suddenly you think they're back, and then the bomb explodes and kills both Rick and Morty, and then Rick and Morty travel through the dimensions and show up and like, oh yeah, this is the right universe for us to be in. It's just that because we die in this universe and now we can just live in it normally. And Morty like sees his own exploded body and like looks like he's entering a catatonic state, and it immediately smash cuts to what is it, Fade Into You by Mazzy Star. I fucking lost it. It was so good, man. It was so that I was just like, man, it's like this is, it's a side note, but one of the funniest smash cuts like that in a movie I've ever seen before is at the very end of the Rules of Attraction. There's like, it's kind of like on like a bad emotional moment for one of the characters driving late at night, and then it smash cuts to Stop by Erasure, which if you've ever heard before is a very fun song, and it's just like that. I was like, that's so good. Jesus Christ, that's so good. That to me, like, Rick and Morty actually did that really well. Also, Blonde Redhead's band I really love, and hilariously, like, they owe a lot of people knowing about them. They've been around since the early 90s, but people know about them a lot because they got featured in Rick and Morty. Like, so it is what it is. But you know what? If you like it, just don't be weird.
Don't be annoying. Yeah, don't be annoying about it. Enjoy your TV shows without making it part of your personality.
Well, that's one of the things too, where I've made the point about like books that people talk about being problematic. It's like, they might be, but I mean, they're books and you're a grown up. You can read, if you want to read it. Like, you know, like I haven't read it, but I've heard people say that Michelle Houellebecq, despite being like a fucking fascist, is actually like a very good writer, funny, like sarcastic, ironic, skilled writer. He wrote a book called Submission that's sort of like, oh, the Muslims took over Europe, and it's like it's pretty bad, but like as far as it being a book, people who I know whose opinion I trust have said it's great. I haven't read it because a finite amount of time, but I've read books. Obviously, Lions, we talk about Yukio Mishima, and we've all read Mishima, like problematic person. I don't have time for it. I don't get in arguments about it online. I don't care. I think that there's room for nuance. There's room for, if you want to separate art and artist, if you want to whatever. But more than anything else, though, it's just like, don't be weird. People just don't have a lot of time. It's like whatever fucking is a thing that you actually enjoy that like makes, because like when I read or I encounter something that's actually good, it's like, it feels like it opens up like a new perspective on like what creative stuff can be. And I really like that. And it's obviously rarer these days, but it does happen. So I don't know. I wouldn't deny that of anybody. I hope that like they venture beyond the cringe, but some people won't. That's life.
No. Yeah. Enjoy what you like. Cause I know, I've never read it, but I know Lolita is a very popular, well-written book.
It's funny. I don't really like Vladimir Nabokov, but for different reasons. I'd say that's the only book of his I've actually enjoyed, not because of the subject matter, but because it's really, really funny. But the point of it being funny is not that you're supposed to you're supposed to sympathize with Humbert. It's supposed to be that he's so up his own ass and so incredibly myopic and self-deluding that he thinks what he thinks is happening is not what's happening, and everyone around it, and you, the reader, can see that's not what's happening, but he's convinced it is. It's actually a funny book. Other books by Nabokov, like Pnin or Pale Fire, I just couldn't get into. And I wouldn't say Lolita is like my favorite book by any means, but it is very well written. It's very funny. And if you know about some of the stuff he's parodying and sort of like the kind of like sort of high society European pervert writers of the 19th and 20th century, there's a lot of like Easter egg jokes in there making fun of them. It's actually quite funny too. So, but you know what? Some people be like, oh, it should be illegal. It's like, there is nothing in that book that would make you think that he's trying to say that this is a good thing at all.
Right.
At all.
Right.
And if you read the book, you know the story. Spoiler alert here with the plot. When the main character realizes that he is just as much of a pedophile as the actual pedophiles, like, hey, you want to come to our trafficked children party? He kills one of them. Like, because he's like, what? How dare you suggest that I'm a disgusting pervert? Like, he was like, because you are.
Yeah, I only love one 12-year-old, not all of them.
I only faked my way into a marriage with this woman with a single mom and then created a situation in which she died so I could become the adoptive parent of this child that I'm abusing because I did for moral reasons, because I found true love. It's like, genuinely, that's the book. And I don't know, like the idea that people are going to argue about whatever the fuck they want to argue about. I mean, there's plenty of stuff, the things along those lines, whatever the sort of social convention people are upset about, you can find. But I mean, for me, it's like, I don't really know about some things like problematic, let's call it problematic movies. There can be things where like, I just don't want to watch them because like, it's disturbing. Like to me now, the way I react to stuff now, like I don't really want to see anything involving like kids being hurt. Because it's horrible now as a parent. It makes me so sad. I don't really want to see stuff about kids in danger if I can avoid it, because it's just, I worry enough as is. But like Come and See is a good movie. It's a very difficult movie to watch, but it is a good movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Weirdly, I find Come and See less difficult, Andrei Tarkovsky's Ivan's Childhood, because I'm a parent and because Ivan's Childhood is specifically about a kid who is basically a partisan. His family were murdered by the Nazis. And try as they might, they cannot get him to accept going and just being a normal kid in an orphanage. He's like, no, I'm going to keep killing the Nazis until the war is over or they kill me. And then they kill him. It's a really difficult movie for that. And it's very well acted. Similarly, like those are things where like, it's hard. It's hard to watch them. And so like, I certainly am never going to watch like fucking Saw or whatever, because come on.
Or go back and watch Kids. Did you ever watch that one?
I have seen
back in the 90s
bits of it, like on HBO. I guess I'd be interested. I have to be real with you. I am a little weirded out by Larry Clark and his whole thing. I'm a little weirded out by Harmony Korine and his whole thing. I've seen Spring Breakers, and it was just sort of like, this is dumb and funny, but also like this is just not my thing. I don't really know if I would want to, but I think as like a kind of like a document of like New York in the mid 90s, people that I know who grew up there at that time have said like, it's obviously like fictive, but it's pretty accurate. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I definitely, hilariously, I'm constantly reminded of Kids because one of Lou Barlow's side bands is a band called The Folk Implosion, and they did a song called Natural One for the soundtrack of Kids, and it's like, it's a fucking incredible song, and it's like the only place it was released was the Kids soundtrack. So, you gotta be tied in with this movie from the mid 90s that I think they tried to rate NC-17 for, I think it got re-edited to be R, but I don't know, because it's still fucked up.
But everybody, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our construction talk, sound editing booth talk, and sick children talk as we have that. You can get more of this on our Patreon. What a Hell of a Way to Die on Patreon. We have, almost 9 years worth of bonus content. We got 3 bonus episodes coming out every month, all kinds of good stuff. We recently had a Zoo Crew episode come out, and I think by the time this comes out, we're gonna have another MASH episode out with Carrie. So take a look at all of that. That is all available for you on our Patreon. Other than that, Nate, thank you for taking the time out to join me here to do some dad chat, and everybody, we'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.